With no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, banking with Capital One is like the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like Taylor Swift choosing what to wear.
It's looking kind of chilly out today. I think I'll go with a cardigan.
Yep, even easier than that. And with our top-rated app, you can bank anytime, anywhere, making Capital One an even easier decision. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
New consumer accounts only. Approval required. Terms apply. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence has started. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You have entered Untold Radio AM. And now broadcasting from a secret location, your hosts, Joel Sturgis and Doug Hychak. And welcome to this edition of Untold Radio AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Doug Hychak. Got a big show on tap tonight. We have David Ellis on the show. That'll be bomb of the hour. We're talking Bigfoot with him. We're talking sound. We're talking audio of Bigfoot that will curl your toes. We'll also learn a lot about the habitat and the way the Bigfoot is acting and all of his theories. Don't miss it. He's part of the Olympic Project. He's one of the founders. And they're pushing the envelope of what we think Bigfoot is or could be. So you're going to want to stick around. Bottom of the hour. And if you are listening right now, thank you so much. Thank you for downloading this podcast. And I want you to visit UntouldRadioAM.com to catch all of our past episodes of this show. If this is your first time listening, we appreciate you. If you're a long-time listener, we appreciate you just a little bit more. So join the bandwagon, UntouldRadioAM.com. Doug, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. But that was a mouthful, Joe. How did you get all that out without even breathing?
It's almost like I'm a professional or something.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Almost like a professional. You know, it's been a bit. So, you know, with everything that's been going on, we're kind of podcasting this a little late. We were supposed to have David on at an earlier date, but then things went a little awry around here with news stuff, the news cycle. We'll leave that for other shows to talk about, but we all know what's going on. So we do wish and hope for the best in this matter that we all find ourselves in right now.
So, what'd you do today, Joel? On the snowy...
Let's see. You know, one thing I did do on our little break between podcasts, between radio shows, between just being all around busy guys, I bought a snowmobile.
Whoa.
I did.
That means we're going to have a year without snow.
That is exactly what everybody's been telling me now. That, you know, thank you so much for buying a snowmobile because now we won't have any snow.
Yeah.
And it will be great.
Today, Joel, we got what? A quarter inch?
Well, they're predicting for us now tonight possibly as much as 7 inches of snow. And if you're listening to this on November 10th, 2020, we're supposed to be getting some snowstorms coming through our area. But right after I buy the snowmobile, we get the record-breaking, record-shattering 70-degree weather in November.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was actually 77.
It was insane, Doug.
Oh,
it was insane. It was nuts.
You can take all the credit for that warm weather.
Well, I would, but there's a lot of people that love the snow. And I'm one of them now because now I own a snowmobile.
Joe, just to give you how different we are, I sold my snowmobile this year. Hey, who's the smart one, me or Joel?
Well, it's probably going to be you because, snowmobiles are death machines with tracks.
Yeah, you're right, because I have lost 2 friends. Death by snowmobile.
Yeah, they are dangerous things. They're fast, they're loud, they're something that's not for the faint of heart sometimes. I know but it is a lot of fun. Can be exhilarating. But it came to my attention, if you're listening in the Duluth area, which I know you are, our own Doug here, I need you to go to duluthcycle.com. Check that out, because the owner there is doing some great things. And I did not know that, and I might be able to say this on this podcast, that Doug Hychek owns Duluth Cycle. And I have done advertising for Duluth Cycle, different points in my career, for years. And they sell a hell of a product down there. Now, if you are looking to get into bicycles, stuff like that, that's the place to stop by. I just wanted to give them a free plug. DuluthCycle.com, because it's a great store. So check that out. You don't mind that, Doug, do you? A little free plug.
I didn't ask for it.
Okay, we got a lot of news to hit right now. We got Ozzy Osbourne is enlightening us on the pyramids. So, of all people in this world, we have the Prince of Darkness. Ozzy Osbourne suggests ancient Egyptian pyramids were built as replicas of UFOs. Former Black Sabbath vocalist Ozzy Osbourne, alongside his family, they believe that the UFOs are really replicas of, or the pyramids are replicas of UFOs. I have a hard time swallowing that. I want to give them a little bit more credit than that, our ancient Egyptian brethren. What do you think?
I think you can just take it right to the bank. Anything
right to the bank, huh?
Just take it to the bank. It's guaranteed to be exactly how it is.
You think so? Well, according to
you know what's weird about pyramids? Forget about UFOs. Pyramids are weird. I think they're just like something that was built way before they think that they were built. And they've been repurposed over and over and over again. And every culture takes credit for them. I think they go way back. And
yeah.
Here's one thing. I was working on a project one time with, I do a lot of work with holograms.
Yes.
I was working on a project one time for 3D holograms. Actually, the math of a pyramid that can create a 3D hologram.
Really?
And I went, what are the chances?
Yeah.
I mean, it is odd. That's kind of it's an impossible coincidence.
Yeah. Well, but do we go that far, though, to say that they are replicas of starships?
No.
That's a leap. I mean, we can and go, oh my God, they were great.
Oh, there have been a couple of sightings, including, I think, one that was supposedly photographed that looks like a upside down pyramid. It was in the sky. But the picture looked fake to me.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and
you know which one I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about, because it made their rounds in the news outlets for quite a while.
It's kind of in the clouds or obscured by the clouds.
Yep. Yeah. But is that coincidence? I mean, or maybe they were misseeing something. I mean, I've seen that picture, but it's to me, it's a little suspect.
Pyramids are weird. I mean, they're kind of mind blowing. I mean, the fact that they're all over the world, pyramids by supposed ancient people or very early man, built with technology we didn't have. I don't know. I think they're way older than they're saying.
I think so. I have heard the argument that if you go to the pyramids and if you go to the Sphinx, that there is evidence of water erosion on these structures.
Yeah.
That at one time they found themselves being flooded like by a lake at one time in history. So how old does that make these things? I think you're right. They could be way older than we even understand them to be.
Well, see, if you take a structure and you add on to it, and you go, okay, let's add this little thing here in this room, and I mean, think about it. It kind of covers up their age.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't really date the rock because it's going to go way, way back.
Yeah.
So all you can do is kind of update. You can date some of the carvings. You can date some of the language. But what if that's not what they were built for? What if they were built before even there were any humans here?
I was going to say, maybe they found them much like we did. That civilization did.
That's what I believe happened. And then they went, hey, this would be cool. Let's turn this into a tomb.
Yeah, we have these structures sitting here doing nothing.
Yeah.
Let's go find out what's in them, number one. And number two, once we found out there's nothing in them, hey, let's bury crap in here. Yeah, it's a great place.
Joel, you would turn a pyramid into a man cave.
In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Yeah. Oh, I would. Indiana Jones style, though, with the booby traps.
Yep.
I'm talking giant boulder. I'm talking the whole thing. Just to keep people out. Because I really don't like people that much. I love our listeners. They're the greatest listeners in the world. Smartest listeners in the world. But, sometimes it's nice to get away, isn't it, Doug?
Yeah, it is. You mean like being socially distant, like your next marginal article that you're going to talk about?
Well, we're not even done talking about Ozzy yet. So
yeah, we are.
Let's go that.
We're done.
You think we're done?
We're just
done.
The
former Black Sabbath vocalist, Ozzy Osbourne, is no stranger to reality show TV.
I quit listening to Ozzy when I was 11, okay?
Well, Ozzy, you are dead to Doug. I just want to let you know. If you're listening, you are dead to Doug. You're dead to Doug.
Oh, nice.
All right. Where would you like to go next, sir?
Didn't you have an article about Bigfoot?
I do. I do have an article about Bigfoot. Would you like to talk about it? We surely can. Bigfoot. The headline reads, the weird culture war over Bigfoot as a COVID-19 icon. As the coronavirus pandemic really started to rip through America in mid-March, Todd Dissatel wondered how he, a biological anthropologist, boy, I cannot talk tonight, locked down in his central Massachusetts home could help. Okay, I got to address this really quickly. We do have a live listener from the Iron Range Radio listening. We are going a little bit live here. I want to answer something really quickly. The question, basically, the pyramids. We have tried to answer the question is to you, Doug. How old then, Doug, do you believe the pyramids are? If you were to had to age them tomorrow,
thousands years older than they say.
And who do you believe was the first human beings to discover them?
Well, may not have been human beings. Point is, we just don't know. I mean, there's just so many mysteries with the pyramids that we're probably never going to get answers, and it's going to be controversial forever. I mean, nothing gets people more kind of riled up than talking about the pyramids. I just really do believe they've been repurposed.
I have to agree. Again, I have to agree with you. I don't think that. I think they're discovered. I don't think they were built by who we think.
They could have had reflective surfaces on them at one time. They could have, as I mentioned, the math is how I make one of the ways I make a 360 hologram.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing to me.
That is amazing. But hopefully that answered that for our small audience on Iron Range Radio that's tuning in. And thank you so much for tuning in. Getting back to the the matter at hand, which is Bigfoot being an icon of the pandemic, you have Todd Dissidell wondering how he can, being locked down in his central Massachusetts home, how he can help others through what was shaping up to be a long and brutal crisis. Then the answer hit him. 6-foot-tall bronze Bigfoot statue. Okay. All right. Time out. All right. How the hell is a 6-foot-tall bronze Bigfoot statue going to help anyone through the coronavirus? Hopefully we find out through this article.
First off, Todd Dissidell didn't care hill of beans about Bigfoot until I featured him in a show one time. Suddenly now it's Todd everywhere when it comes to Bigfoot. He's the go-to guy. And so I think now he's going to, get a little more attention, This bronze statue his dad gave him, so what his father gave him Christmas. I'm reading this live, Joel. I did not on purpose. I did not look at this before we went on the air. And so it's got to have something to do with social distancing, correct?
Yeah, we will keep going here. Dissidell, who is a well-known Bigfoot skeptic who nonetheless curtailed with many people who believe in and groups of searchers for that search for the legendary creature. I'm kind of skimming this quickly. Moved the statue to the edge of the road by his house. He then placed a sign in its hands for drivers to read, North American Social Distancing Champion. That's really original. Yeah. Every day for about 7 weeks, he swapped the sign out for a new one, of course. The punny, I think that's, or puny public health message. Yeah. Like Sasquatch, squat your hands to wash. You play on words. At least 20 seconds. This is ridiculous. This is really ridiculous. I cannot believe I'm covering this on air. How is okay? I get the sentiment.
Don't stop. I just want to know where to get a 7-foot bronze statue of Bigfoot.
He got it from his father.
I know, but Christmas. Where did his dad get it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know his dad's phone number. I mean, if I could, I'd give him a call. And
I don't think he had it handmade. I hope not.
I sure hope not either. So now Todd is using this, of course, as a PSA on the side of the road to remember to wash your hands and social distance. But how he became a Bigfoot as an icon of COVID-19 is anyone's guess. I guess maybe because he is social distancing, and he has been ever since he's existed, maybe. That would be the only correlation. But I'm about done with this article, so let's move on, unless you have some closing thoughts on using a giant bronze statue to convey messages of washing your hands.
No, my conclusion, Joel, is his statue will be stolen. Period.
Yeah, if you need a statue to remind you to wash your hands, you have bigger problems than that statue. You got a lot of problems going on. I'm just saying.
Boy, this is a long article, too.
It's a long one. It keeps going and going and going.
Oh, my goodness. Like,
it's a long one.
5 pages.
Yeah, it's a long one. But the upshot is this, wash your hands, folks, I guess. That's really what we're getting at. So, wash your hands because the Squatch says so.
Squat your hand. Squat. Can't even say it.
Say that 10 times fast.
Wash.
Yeah. Yeah. But how would... Never mind. Let's talk about something a little more interesting, shall we? Elon Musk says SpaceX first Starship trip to Mars could fly in 4 years, Doug. Just in 4 years. Yeah. SpaceX is almost ready to start build. Yeah, is starting to build a permanent human settlement on Mars with its massive Starship rocket. The private space flight company is on track to launch its first uncrewed mission to Mars in as little as 4 years from now, SpaceX founder and CEO Elon Musk said Friday. on October 16th at the International Mars Society convention. I think we have...
Introducing Peacock, the new free streaming service from NBC Universal. It's hit movies, current shows, live sports, trending bits, and timeless hits. And that's why you can't not watch. Peacock. Watch for free, upgrade for more. Stream now at peacocktv.com. Law & Order SVU streaming now.
This week at Target, clean up with a free $10 gift card when you buy 3 select laundry or cleaning essentials from Tide, Glad, Downy, and more. Take spring cleaning to the next level at Target, where lower prices and great deals make it easy to save. Restrictions may apply.
A fighting chance to make that second Mars transfer window, Musk said in a discussion with Mars Society founder Robert Zubrin. You can watch the replay if you choose to over there at their website, if that's something you're interested in. But basically, Elon is beating NASA to the punch, really, is what he's doing. And he's a private citizen doing it. I mean, at this point, you would think, and this is just my opinion, that NASA would be a little embarrassed that they had a private citizen outspend them and get to Mars before they do.
So you don't think they're getting government subsidies? I kind of think they probably would.
I would imagine somewhere along the line. I mean, is Elon Musk taking over for NASA? That's what I want to know. Are they just going to turn it over to him and say, okay, SpaceX, we're going to mothball NASA now, and you can take it over. And if you need a little funding here and there, let us know. But other than that, we're hands off.
Well, it's going to be interesting with the new administration coming in January, if they're going to be supportive of NASA or do what Brock did and just pretty much throw it in the trash.
Yeah, well, depends on how things go. We may all want to move to Mars.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, you're going to Mars. You're going to build a city, little tiny hamster cages for people. I'd be the one that would forget the hammer. Everybody would go, hey, Jack, you got that hammer? I'd be like, oh, dang it.
Damn it, I forgot the hammer. What do you mean you forgot the hammer? I forgot the hammer.
There was a time where I was responsible for filming a show in the Arctic. This is a true story, Joel. And somebody picked me up to go to the airport. I laid the big giant camera on the driveway. And then I loaded it. Well, then the lady who came to pick me up unloaded it. And we took off. Got to the airport. I went with like 20 people. And I left the camera in my driveway.
Oh, my God.
On a $4,000 camera. And I'm like, I look at my watch and I'm like, oh, my God, the flight leaves in 45 minutes. So I call a neighbor, this neighbor kid, actually. And I said, Greg, $150 if you can get that camera. If you look out your window, sitting in my driveway down to the airport. And he made it within seconds, seconds of us leaving. But I felt like the guy that's going to go to Mars and is going to forget that.
And forget the hammer. Yep. Yeah.
It's a sinking feeling.
But do you believe, 4 years is awfully ambitious.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. That's pretty ambitious, even for it unmanned. When we've already done unmanned because we had the rover out there at Mars, but it never, wasn't like anything that he's proposing.
Right, but remember, if you're a publicly held company, it's so easy to put these press releases out. You don't. You have to deliver on them. Not really. You know what I mean?
It's to keep interest.
I'm not saying you won't make it, but it keeps the stock prices up and it keeps people interested in your company. So that's why I just take that stuff with a grain of salt.
So it kind of keeps them relevant, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Wouldn't you do the same thing?
I would.
If you were the president of a vast empire that was going to go to Mars and you had no clue how to get there, you'd go, oh, we're going 4 years.
Yeah, that makes sense. You got to keep the hype. You got to keep the interest in it. I hope they actually do it. But boy,
to his credit, he's done some amazing things. To take one of these big ships, these big rockets, and re-land them, that alone is, it's a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
He did. He accomplished it.
Well, he is, he's proved to be a very intelligent, resourceful guy. I mean, he owns Tesla, the car brand. And however you feel about Tesla, they have pushed the envelope of like battery technology.
Yep.
They've really increased that. And so the guy has done some great things along the way.
Yep.
I know a lot of the e-bikes are using Tesla.
I use technology
batteries.
like every day. Yep.
And I'm not sure how long of a runtime you can get out of one of those batteries, like in an e-bike, but I'm sure.
Joe, I'm going to tell you how fantastic. Lead acid batteries, put them in your car. Even if you put them on a battery tender, they'll be dead the next spring. Because the hydrogen and will all evaporate out in the water and the gases, and your battery ends up being boiled over during the winter. Mm-hmm. But so I'm like the dead battery guy. I mean, I'm known for it. People tease me about lead acid batteries. They'll die after a month after I own them. So there was an e-bike that I had, and it'll, one of the Tesla type batteries, lithium ion, stored for 2 years, and I forgot about it. Actually, it was over 2 years, and I forgot about it. It was in this box. And about a week ago, I pulled it out, and I'm thinking, oh, here goes a $400 battery down the toilet. Mm-hmm. Hit the button. It was still fully charged.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. Yep.
That is truly amazing.
Lithium ion, man. It's definitely, it's not cheap.
But technology.
So much better than lead acid.
Yeah, I was going to say, but how much money would you have spent that same time on lead acid batteries?
Well, a 48 volt, 14 amp hour lithium ion batteries, roughly $400, for Panasonic, name brand cells.
Yeah.
So they're not cheap. So if you wanted to get a lithium ion 12 volt for your car, they do have them now. But one, they don't do real well in cold weather. Mm-hmm. Two, there's not enough demand for those yet, so they're probably like almost $600.
Ouch!
No,
that hurts.
It's not
just
cheap.
Not quite there yet, is what you're saying. The technology for mass consumer use.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they're not cheap, but I mean, you can get a cheap lithium ion battery with Chinese unbranded cells, but they've been proven to be a fire hazard at times.
Do you remember the hoverboards?
Yep.
A couple years back, all the rage. Kids are burning up.
Yep.
They became hot foot.
Yep.
And that was that was a lithium ion.
Yeah, when lithium ion goes, once one of those cell membranes break, and if it doesn't have a fuse on that one cell, the whole it starts a chain reaction.
Oh my God, these kids were like burning up.
Oh, and they're powerful. They're just like, it's like a Roman candle times 20.
Really? Because I did see one fail one time in a cell phone. And the cell phone was sitting outside on a picnic table. Beautiful summer day. I don't know if it got overheated in the sun or what had happened to it. But next thing you know, the cell phone looks like you described, a Roman candle going up, only brighter and hotter, and
they're like a jet engine.
They really are, and that poor picnic table did not stand a chance. That thing went ablaze almost immediately. Thank God we were, in the middle of an area with a lot of sand and this and that, so there was nowhere for the flame to go. It was good because it put it out. But the phone, I could not believe that little battery, that tiny little itty bitty battery in that Samsung phone. It created a flame so powerful, it was insane. It was nuts.
Don't remind me. I work with these batteries every day. It's kind of scary. I mean, I do worry. I don't charge them unattended. That's where the biggest danger is.
So if you plug them in, walk away, let them charge overnight, that's a no-no.
That's a no-no. You definitely want to keep an eye on them, keep them kind of away from anything flammable. Mm-hmm. But I mean, lithium ion batteries can be damaged, and then even a good one could go bad. Sure. And then there's lithium polymer batteries. Like that may have been a polymer battery, lithium polymer. They're a little different technology. I had one time I was flying a lithium polymer drone in the home. In the home, Joel, yes, in the home. And it decided to explode in the home.
Oh, I'm sure the lady in your life loved that.
That wasn't good. That was not good. I don't know. Must have been over
there you are, flying your little plane around the High-Check Ranch there, and you're enjoying it. It's going up, down, all around.
Yep.
Next thing you know, it becomes a flaming ball of fire.
It's like a hydrogen bomb.
Oh, my good Lord.
First and last time.
I bet you that never happened again, I was going to say.
Nope,
I bet you that was its first and last voyage, or last voyage for sure.
Yep.
And then Doug was stuck standing there watching, Armageddon in front of his face.
Luckily, it was contained because it exploded in the air. Then it outgassed. It landed on a cupboard somewhere on a counter. Oh, a granite counter and outgassed. And that's when they're nuts. It's like a jet engine, of green fire.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Tons of smoke.
We got to get out of here, though. We got to run a break. We come back. We're going to have David Ellis with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. Set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey, girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to Untold Radio AM.com. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Doug Hychek. Got a great guest on tap for everyone tonight. We have Doug Ellis joining us. And Doug is not just another pretty face. He is out there doing Bigfoot research. But in a different way than you would think, he is one of the co-founders of the Olympic Project, Research with a Purpose. Doug, thank you so much for coming. Doug. David, thank you. Too many D names. Too many D names tonight. David, thank you so much for coming on the show with us.
Great. Glad to be with you guys tonight. This is going to be fun.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. What got you started on the journey that you're on, searching for Bigfoot and sound, and what really drives you there? Because we're going to get into the sound part a little bit later, but
sure.
Kind of give us your background, who you are, and what makes you tick in that regard.
Well, my personal story goes back quite a ways. I'm 68 years old, and I was about 5 or 6 years old. My grandfather had an 80-acre farm near Battleground, Washington, and he was cutting hay one day on his tractor using a sickle, and as he was going through the hayfield cutting, up jumped what he called a 5-foot-tall monkey. And it ran on 2 legs across the pasture or the hayfield, hopped the fence, and into the woods. So since I'm about 5 or 6 years old, I've got this notion that there's monkeys in the woods. So, so it goes back quite a ways. And then fast forward, I'm 11 years old. It's 1963. And we had this field that we went to as a bunch of kids. And we called it the stump field because it had been cut, logged a long time ago. And they had these 12 to 15 foot tall edifice stumps because they used the spring and buckboard method when they cut the trees down, leaving these tall big stumps, and it was just a great place to go to. Well, we as a group were walking across the field and got to within about 10 yards, 30 feet or so from a fence line. One of the kids picks up a stick and whacks it on one of the limbs, and all hell broke loose. I can remember seeing 18-inch thick alders swaying like matchsticks. And then all of a sudden, limbs were being ripped off of the tree at about 12 feet up. And I'm watching this just in awe. And then whatever it was that was doing all this was still camouflaged. There was so much brush in the wood line. We couldn't see what was going on other than on this big, huge commotion. And then it let loose with a scream that I later described to my parents as a cross between a lion roaring and an elephant trumpeting. It was definitely 2 sounds at once, and it flattened us. It was so loud. There isn't anything that could domain. And I had, and the reason I could tell my parents that it sounded like an elephant and a lion, because I had been to the Portland Zoo and I had heard both of those creatures bellow. So I know there was some source of why I could say it was like an elephant and a lion roaring all at once.
Were you scared at all?
Oh my God!
Going down. I mean, you sat there and I mean, you sound so calm today. I want to know what the 11-year-old David was like hearing this and experiencing this.
Well, I probably should have wet myself, but I didn't. I did fall down, and I remember kind of like coming to out of a cloud, and I looked at everybody and I shouted, "Run!" And we did. And we ran out of the field. But the following week, we had at our school a library teacher that we would go to the library and learn how to find a book and read what we liked. And the librarian, she wanted to know what interested us. So she would always have a show and tell that would start off the session. And so she said, did anything interesting happen to anybody this weekend? And up shot my hand like a rocket. And I went through the whole scenario, and she nodded her head and thanked me for telling the story. And about a half an hour into the class, when everybody had settled, I felt this tap on my right shoulder, and I looked up and it was the librarian. She said, "Follow me, come with me for a second." So I went with her, and she said, "I'm very interested in what you heard. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?" And she started grilling me backwards and forwards and whatnot. And then she said, "You know what? I've got an adult book that you might like to read." And it was Ivan T. Sanderson's Abominable Snowman Legend Come to Life. It had been written in 1961, so it had been out for a couple of years. But it was my librarian that tied what I heard to what might have possibly made that sound. So I thank her for that, and she kind of got my interest in it. Life got in the way. I didn't really follow it or get involved in it until the internet, and I started following things. And then Doug, with his Monster Quest, really got me interested in the whole thing. And so I started following it even more closely, and eventually went to a conference in 2005. And it was that conference that spurred me into getting out into the field. And from there, I taught myself how to do field recording, and I followed Rick Knoll and learned how to cast tracks by his tutelage. And those two things really drove me into the Bigfoot world.
Man, that is cool. It sounds like you had a lot of great mentors along the way and a lot of great information. And I do have to credit my co-host here. And that Monster Quest show, that had a lot of influence on a lot of people.
Did me.
To really ask more questions and stuff like that. So I was one of those that used to watch that show. Still do when I can catch it. And a great program, Doug. You did a fine job and
Doug,
helped further the field.
Doug introduced science into the whole thing. So
yes,
it was. It wasn't just people running around in the field hoping to run into a Sasquatch. It was, well, how do we scientifically collect data? Let's collect as much information as possible. So that notion is what drove me into not just having experiences in the field, but collecting as much data as you can, and audio is a natural for collecting the most. You're probably going to hear something more often than see something, so that's what drove me into the audio experience.
Now, what prompted you to co-find the Olympic project?
Well, it was a process. I had been investigating for about 5 or 6 years before Derek and I became close friends. I had a witness that had been collecting some hair samples, and we went through the Olympic project to get them tested, and my experience with Derek just grew. So he asked me to become part of the Olympic project, and we've been partners in it ever since. And that was about 2010. So we're about 10 years into it, working together.
Yeah.
So David, can you describe the Olympic project and the goals?
Sure. We're a collection of dedicated researchers to collect as much data as possible. We realize we're not the end-all be-all scientists, but we hope to collect it in a fashion that maybe science can utilize. And so that is what our goal is. We vet our information that we get. We assume nothing as Sasquatch related. As a matter of fact, we kind of use the null hypothesis, which means that everything that comes to us as purported evidence has to.
Streaming only on Peacock.
John Wayne Gacy is suspected of having killed as many as 32.
Straight from the killer's mouth.
They want you to believe that I alone committed these murders.
The new gripping 6-part documentary series that investigates the crimes that shocked the nation.
The thing everybody thought they knew wasn't the whole story.
John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise. All episodes streaming now.
Devil in disguise.
Only on Peacock. Streaming only on Peacock.
John Wayne Gacy is suspected of having killed as many as 32.
Straight from the killer's mouth.
They want you to believe that I alone committed these murders.
The new gripping 6-part documentary series that investigates the crimes that shocked the nation.
The thing everybody thought they knew wasn't the whole story.
John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise. All episodes streaming now.
Devil in disguise.
Only on Peacock.
Have a logical, biological source. And so we go through a process of elimination. So if we get or some information that people may come to us with some hair, well, what are the possibilities the hair could be? You know, and we vet that to find out whether it's a reliable resource or not. And if it isn't, we tell people, you know. But our assumption is that everything that we get, it has a biological source that is known first. So we have to eliminate all of the knowns before you can go to the unknown.
Sure, you gotta get rid of all the mundane before we can move on to the extraordinary.
Right.
And you do have one scientist on your board, correct, David?
Oh, we have numerous.
Okay.
Well, Jeff Meldrum works with us quite a bit, and John Mayanzinski periodically we've asked information from him, and he supplied it. Dr. John Bindernagel worked with us quite a bit. So we were thankful to have his advice while he was with us. So yeah, there's
a lot of good stuff going on with the Olympic project, David, and it seems like you got a top-notch group as well, having scientists involved. That doesn't hurt a thing. And
no.
So we're looking, you're looking for the answers right along with everybody else. But you talked about sound, how sound, you really were drawn to sound because you hear things rather than see things. Are you trained in forensic sound? Are you trained? What's your background in that kind of training to be able to,
I have been mentored, but I haven't taken or gone through specific courses. When I say I've been mentored, there's a gentleman that goes by the name of Monongahela, who's a crypto-linguist. And I've been working with him since 2007. About 2010, I was bemoaning the fact that I was falling asleep sometimes listening to my audio. And he says, "You're not looking at it?" And I asked him, "Well, what do you mean I'm not looking at it?" And he said, "Well, you should be reviewing your audio in a spectrogram." And well, of course, what's a spectrogram? So
sure.
Yeah, he got me into the field. He said there is a freeware out there called Sonic Visualizer that allows you to turn your audio into a spectrogram, and as you review it, you will be able to spot sounds that may be of interest to you, and you also can review audio way quicker, because once you start to learn what the signatures are of certain things, you can fly right by all that stuff. So you're looking for the odd signature rather than the known signature. So, and that's essentially in a nutshell, what I do. I realize we're trying to paint a picture, a visual picture here by using words, but I review my audio visually as well as hearing it. So there are specific signatures that I'm looking for. There's a collection of sounds that I have identified through my process that I am following that are seem to be made by or found in areas that witnesses are claiming to have Sasquatch activity. So these essential sounds seem to be maybe something that we should be all following.
Now, I know all sound begins with the recording equipment, because without that, we don't have sound, or we don't have recording of sound, rather. What do you like to use in the field for your equipment? I know we have a lot of researchers that are just asking that right now. What are you using? I mean, what do you prefer, David?
I've gone through quite the gamut. I've spent quite a bit of money. And in the long run, I ended up right back to just holding or placing a digital audio recorder in the field, turning it on and letting it run. So it's a high quality digital audio recorder that I use. I've standardized personally on the Adderall Roland series of digital recorders. It fits my specific needs. It has some capabilities that others do not. It's very small, fit in your shirt pocket kind of a thing, but it's studio quality. It records at a very, very high quality. So what I do is I protect it. I'll put it in a baggie if I think that there's going to be either moisture falling or a dew process that could get on the recorder, in the morning hours. So you want to protect your equipment, but sound is not affected by having the recorder in a baggie. So in a nutshell, I've gone through using bionic dishes. What my high-end dishes, which I have two, are the Dan Gibson. I don't know if that means anything to you, but those are very high quality listening devices. But I found that the bionic dish approach doesn't give you clarity if the sound originates behind the dish. So when you're
parabolic microphones aren't really all that useful.
Well, if you're
really.
they can be if you use four of them.
Gotcha. So you got to kind of cover that east, west, south, north, the whole bit.
Right. Yeah.
That gets expensive.
It does. Yeah. At $2,000 a pop for good stuff. Yeah.
So what you're saying is omnidirectional is probably a better choice.
Right.
For people that want to record nature audio.
Right. Now, if I had the money, I would still, I'd spend it, of course, on more equipment, more digital audio recorders, and do maybe a grid pattern in an area that I have suspicion that something could be, happening.
Is there a benefit, David, to having like 3 recorders out?
Yes.
So you can triangulate,
yes,
where the
exactly. That's exactly right. Right. Yeah, triangulation is key. Even when you are in the field with other people, if you are separated by some distance and you both hear the same sound and you both point in the direction that you heard it, the intersection is the most likely place where that vocalization occurred.
Interesting.
So it kind of gives you a map, basically, where that sound was, if you know where all 3 points were of your recorders.
Yeah.
So you know there would be more in the center. That's very interesting.
David took the time, I don't know, was it a week ago, David?
Yes.
You took the time to kind of train me a little bit on how to spot the difference between a Bigfoot vocalization and a human one. And I'm telling you, he had me where I could pick them out visually. Yeah. And I was like, dang, there's a huge difference, David. Why don't you talk about that?
Okay. Well, the voice signatures of every living creature is specific to them and make unique looking sounds or visualizations of their sounds in a spectrogram. So when you learn through repetitiveness which sounds are tied to which characters or subjects or biological creatures, it becomes easy to say, okay, that's a human. I can tell by the visualization of that. And you remember, Doug, what I told you, that I told you before you even saw it what you were going to see.
The V's.
Yeah, upside down V's is the characteristic look of a human voice, and the suspect Sasquatch vocalizations are just different. They're not that.
They're lines.
Yeah.
So they don't have vocal troughs, is what you're saying. They have.
No. Well, I don't know what I'm assuming. I'm not trained, so I don't want to make a wild claim that I don't know what I'm talking about there.
But just the fact it's different, and you can see
exactly.
It's so different. And it isn't like, Joel, it's a little bit different. It's really different.
Well, the human voice has a lot of waves, peaks, and valleys when we talk. That's just the way we talk.
Yeah.
And they call that a vocal trough. When you see that go up and down and that little trough at the bottom, that's the bottom of your spectrum of your voice. And then you, of course, have your peaks. And generally speaking, individuals speak where we can hear.
Right.
So when we are creating sound, we are only creating sound that we can hear. We are not capable of us organically speaking sounds we cannot recognize or hear with our ears readily. Now, Bigfoot, I noticed in some of your data that you shared with me this afternoon, and thank you so much, David, for walking me through that.
Yes.
That is absolutely opposite, because it is dropping below what we as a human being could create.
I think you're referring to infrasound.
I am. That's exactly where I was going to go. That was the next stop.
So, Doug, you want to get us a little prelude into the infrasound and where you're going with that?
Sure. A little bit. So, as an example, Joel, my son Blaine, he's been a researcher for probably about 10 years now, and he's getting pretty good, and he's getting pretty brave. He backpacked into the Boundary Waters canoe area. Normally people canoe in, but he wanted to go to an area where people don't even go, period. So they had a lot of activity on night one. They had a lot of activity on night two. Although night one, they slept most of the night through all the activity. And night two, they had a lot of activity that was so bad and so intense that they left early in the morning. They just literally felt that their life was in danger. They were having pretty big boulders thrown at them and near their tent. And, it was, these things were pretty bold. So, of course, I'm like, I want to hear your audio tapes, and I'm listening to them with headphones, and I'm hearing, all the activity. I can hear, the wood knocks, and I can hear the rock throws, and I can hear the rocks rolling near the tent. But then there was something, I was kind of listening to the negative spaces, where they're right before activity or right after activity, and I was hearing what sounded like a heartbeat. And I called him up right away and I said, Blaine, what's with the heartbeat sound? And he goes, oh, you noticed that? And I said, yeah. So, I listened to it with headphones, and I listened without, and I couldn't hear it. I had to have this one certain pair of headphones on before I could hear it. And so he had just kind of blown it off, figured it was some malfunction. And that's where we got David involved. We got Adam Colt involved Bill Munns and David. And David, you came up with a theory that I don't want you to give away right, but do it soon. But why don't you just explain what you found?
Well, what I found was that these sounds seem to be, like you said, a heartbeat. And that intrigued me because of the repetitiveness. But I also saw that it wasn't machine because there was like a little skip, like an arrhythmia in one of the beats. And then I noticed that the pattern seemed to be repeated, but not in a specific fashion. In other words, there was still some organic nature to it. So I immediately figured that, well, whatever is making this sound is alive. It's not a mechanical sound. We do have the clip, Doug. So
I do. I have it queued up, in fact.
Okay, so what we will hear in that clip is the range that's in the audible, because it goes up to like 40 hertz. So 40 hertz down to 20 hertz is within our audible range, and we will definitely hear that thumping sound. But
now, it's a long clip. It's a 30-second long clip. I just want to let the audience know that.
It's 3 times looped. It's really just it's a 10-second. Yeah.
And people should if they're going to listen to this, they should don headphones if they really want to hear.
Yeah.
So I will let you guys go get your headphones. We're going to give you 10 seconds to run and get your headphones. 10, 9.
Joe, if I had to go get mine, it would be like 30 seconds.
Okay, if you've downloaded this MP3, pause it right now, run and get those headphones, and then come back to us if you wouldn't mind. We're going to play this clip right here, right now, of what took place that night with Blaine. And I got a feeling this will be amazing. Here we go.
Hey, buddy. Easy. Hey, buddy. Easy. Hey, buddy. Easy.
So that was that clip. Okay, now me having a little bit of a tuned ear, I've dealt with sound in the past. I've noticed a couple things that stick out at me right now. There's something that they call audio recording cadence, and that's an artifact of a recorder where you'll get that noise like almost like a heartbeat, but that is just the recorder having that cadence. Generally speaking, they don't skip at all.
No.
When you hear that, you ignore it because you know that as someone that's dealt with sound, like, we know that this is from the recorder. Everything else is what matters. That had an abnormal skip.
Well,
that was odd.
We tested the recorder, of course, in a quiet room. Did not make that sound.
Had no artifact of that recording noise that I referred to. So now another thing that was interesting is the way it skipped. It skipped around. It was almost like I was hearing a heartbeat, like David had said, with arrhythmia. Like it was slow and then it would skip, and that was odd. I mean, how do you guys explain that? What are we hearing, in your opinion, guys?
Well, you want me to go first, Doug, and then you can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I believe we are hearing something that can produce infrasound. And I've been convinced of that actually through Adam Colt's work, which Doug has been working with, that says that he's got a measurement down to 10 hertz. Now, I'm not quite sure how he did that, but I'm quite sure that he knows what he's doing. So if he's claiming that there is a sound there that goes down to 10 hertz, then it's there. And he's got a way to measure that. Now, I can't tell you how the recorder recorded it, and I can't tell you how the microphones received it, because as we know, manufacturers have specifications and they have cutoffs, which usually coincide with our ability to hear. So that anything below that, we can't hear it. So why would they want to record it? They don't need to.
Yeah, normally they engineer those to be a 20 hertz
cutoff
setup.
Yeah,
they'll cut it off right there, because there's no sense in having that software being able to pick up anything below that. But that's interesting that was cut on that digital recorder going below that.
Right. So maybe, and we'd have to verify this with the recording manufacturer, that their recorder and microphone do have a slightly lower capability threshold than your typical equipment. So it's a possibility, but I can't say that. I can't speak for the manufacturer. I'd rather have the manufacturer speak to us. It's a question that we need to get obviously answered. The other thing,
do you care to share who the manufacturer was of the device?
That would be Doug. Who was it? Tascam?
That was Zoom, and it was, I believe, an H1 record. They're about $150, $200.
Yeah.
They're kind of like an off-the-shelf, really high-end recorder.
Yeah.
Okay, nothing special, nothing totally made,
they're studio
custom.
quality.
So, they're not customly made by a audio laboratory to go below what we were talking.
Right.
So, okay.
But he was recording in the wave format. So he was recording raw, pretty much raw audio.
And the wave will offer a little bit deeper on the spectrum than the MP3, because you can do both right on there. That's an MP3 recorder and a wave recorder, right?
Yes, correct.
So that wave will go a little bit lower into that range. In my experience with wave formats and using in the studio, using wave tracks.
Isn't it wave? Doesn't it mean it's got more saturation?
It's not compressed like an MP3 file is.
Okay.
So you're getting everything.
That's the technology
right there.
I was looking for. So the other interesting aspect that I discussed with Doug was the visual portion of it, which Sonic Visualizer, their readings go all the way down to 0. And they're showing in the spectrogram these sounds going all the way down to 0. Well, back again to knowing what thresholds are and what is 0. So I don't know what 0 means in the world of Sonic Visualizer, but I also do know that there's another software that I use called Spectral Layers, and the same phenomena, it goes all the way down to 0. So, like I've said with Doug, I'm not sure what that actually really represents. Is it just a inference of sound? An extrapolation, if you will, of the signal. So they're just going to extend it all the way down to 0, so it doesn't have this sharp cutoff at 20 hertz. I don't know.
Have you seen that before, David?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I have seen it, but I have discounted just of the information from the sound. We can't hear typically. Most folks can't hear below 20 hertz. So why is the spectrogram showing signs of sound below that level? These are all questions I sure would like to get answers to, but I don't know.
One thing I heard just the other night, and I've got a meeting set up from a witness who experienced feeling a heartbeat. Couldn't hear it, but felt it.
That's infrasound.
Yes.
And that's kind of my theory that I think you wanted me to allude to here. My theory is that if this organic source is creating this sound, it's in a rhythm that will manage your heart. And if you think about your heartbeat, if you go into an anxiety state, your heart rate is going to increase. So I think it seems to be getting us on a level subconscious that attaches itself to, our natural rhythms of our heart. And if you can affect that, you're going to affect the mind as well, and become even more anxious and anxiety. And there is something I have personally experienced in the field. I didn't know what it was at the time. It was long before I had heard the term infrasound. I was working for the U.S. Forest Service cutting trail. I had a chainsaw in my hand. We were cutting trail, and there was a guy 40, 50 yards to my right and 40, 50 yards to my left, and we're cutting brush. And all of a sudden, I get this strangest feeling coming over me. And the next thing I know, I'm in a full-fledged panic, dread. My mind is telling me, or I'm hearing the words, drop the chainsaw and run now. And I couldn't do it because I knew if I left my post, that would be the end of my job. So I just stood there with a chainsaw in my hand. I had a chainsaw in my hand, and I was scared to death. I thought I was going to die. And it lasted about 90 seconds, and all of a sudden, like somebody turned on a light switch, it was gone. It came on in an instant, and it was gone in an instant. And I didn't have a care in the world after that. It was like, what in the hell just happened? And, I was fine. I wasn't scared to be where I was. But it was the strangest feeling. And I won't go into the other story, but the same thing happened to me again while I was cutting this specific trail. Now I'm going to tell you where that was. Mount St. Helens, Spirit Lake.
Which is a known area, known hotspot for these things. Isn't it true, David, that they did studies? I swear to God, I've read about studies where, if two people are lovers, or, a mother and the daughter are sitting together, that their heart rates will sync.
Sure.
Is that true, or is that just something
I've heard it too as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when you
I've heard that as
when David told me his theory, Joel, I went, oh, that really makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It makes as good a sense as anything, because I'm sure you've heard stories, Joel. David, I'm sure you've heard many, many stories of people who, get suddenly anxiety when they're out in the woods.
Right.
Well, they've found a way. They've actually used infrasound as a weapon.
Right.
They've weaponized infrasound.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, they use highly directional speakers, and they'll shoot it right at somebody, and it'll cause high anxiety. It's been known to even cause heart attacks under the right circumstance. Someone that already has underlying issues.
But if these things could produce some kind of a purr, or some kind of a this drum beat sound to get your keep your heart elevating, it's kind of crazy.
I would say so. I would say it's very crazy. And infrasound, I mean, other animals we know utilize infrasound. I mean, you have African cats, whales have been known to use it. I mean,
alligators.
It's not unknown to nature to be used to catch prey.
Alligators use it. Have you ever heard the term the rain dance? You can see when they're creating it, because they have on their backs drops of water vibrating up and down.
I'm not known that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So when you're in the woods, when you were in the woods,
yes,
you're cutting this wood, you're blazing this trail. You had this moment of just absolute, oh my God, dread.
Yes.
Feeling like you're going to die, and it left as soon as it came. Do you believe, looking back today, that maybe you were getting a little too close at that moment, or they were too close and they were retreating? Do you think they used that as almost a weapon on you to stop what you were doing?
I don't know. You're kind of way deep into the woods on the speculation part there, but
I'm way deep in the woods. It's my job. It's my job to get a little deep in the woods once in a while and speculate.
I'll tell you. I'll say this much: I'm pretty sure it was intentional, and that flick of the light switch tells me that. So, because whatever was inducing that to me. It was like they turned on the light switch and they turned off the light switch, and my panic reaction started and ceased just as fast as it came and went.
You remember that story where the tracker that we talked to on the phone said literally, the guy that had been going to the spot forever with just to photograph wildlife, and all of a sudden he starts spinning in circles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was Mark. And he said it came on just like bam, and they got him away from the area, and just like that, it was off.
Yeah.
It was normal.
That's crazy.
It is. And I can tell you what it was like, but until you actually feel it, I'm sorry, but you're not going to know the depth of the dread. Mm-hmm. It is incredibly panic-stricken stuff, and I'm grasping at words because we don't have the words to identify the fear. But it's not your typical. It's not your typical. I was scared. It was way beyond that.
Yeah.
By the way, if anybody wants to see his spectrogram, it's on Untold Radio. Just click on the David Ellis link, and they can actually see the infrasound spectrogram.
UntoldRadioAM.com. You can check it out right there. You can see it for yourself. It's sitting there for you guys to take a look at, and also you guys can visit David's website along after the show, or even right now if you want to bebop on over there after you've looked at that on Untold Radio AM. That's OlympicProject.com. You can also learn more about that team and what he's doing, but definitely let's get kind of talking about this infrasound because, see, now I have some interesting information, I guess not information, but happened to me. I've been hit with infrasound.
Oh, wow.
And I was in the woods and I was hunting and I was overcome with just a feeling of dread. I got to get out of here. I don't know why. This is an area I've hunted in for years.
You had a rifle.
I had a rifle, a 300 Winchester Magnum. Great big rifle that anything in the woods that would have pulverized. And here I am, and I don't know why it came over me. But it left, like you, it left as soon as it came on.
Yeah.
It was the strangest thing.
And it's like you don't have a care or worry in the world.
Afterwards, you almost go in a euphoric high after it's done.
Yeah.
But those seconds that you are under its grip are some of the most terrifying you're ever going to be in.
Right.
It like every worst fear in the world is coming together at one time. It's a rough situation.
We all hear these stories for years and years, but to maybe, and once again I say maybe, have it captured on audio tape, it's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
It is. Very exciting.
So what other sounds, David, have you recorded?
Well,
and other sounds you want to share?
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit about gorilla chest beats, right?
Yeah.
So why don't we talk a little bit more about that? That's a sound that I think that people should be looking for to hear. Besides the common wood knock or the whoop or the long vocalization, a chest beat may be something that could slip under the radar. And it's more, you find it, me personally, more by knowing what to look for, the actual visual signature of a chest beat slap. Why don't we, let's see here.
I got her queued up for you. If you want me to play that, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay. Why don't we listen to
So here we go.
Here's a real Gorilla Chest Beat, clip number 85.
And here we go. Listen close. Here we go, guys. It's gonna play in succession. So sit back for a few seconds. Now, I heard that chest beat, but then and at the very end of that, I almost heard a
Yeah.
You know, like
That's the gorilla. Yeah, that's
gotcha.
Okay, so now clip number 83 that we're going to play was recorded here in the Pacific Northwest, and near as I can tell, we don't have gorillas. You will hear something stepping on a twig, so you'll hear a twig snap, and you'll hear slapping sounds just like the gorilla.
Interesting. Here we go. Let's play that. All right, let me find that here in the old queue here. Let's find us an 84 here. There's I got an 81, 82, and I'm scrolling through the queue of all these great sounds, and it does not appear there's an 84, David.
Oh, okay, you're right. Yeah, I just sent you two. I sent you number 83 and number 85. You're correct. Okay, well, suffice it to say that they sound similar.
Okay. All right, then.
Yeah.
Well, we'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Guys, the first thing that ever happened to me was chest beating. I first smelled this horrible smell, and I was deer hunting too. Smelled the horrible smell, and then there was this really loud chest beat. Then what was really cool, when I went back to camp to have lunch with everybody, everybody was talking about the chest beating and the stink.
Wow.
Whatever it was went to everybody's deer stand about a quarter mile apart and gave them a little intimidation display. And
What's the first thing? Oh, sorry, Doug. And this is...
Well, it's just that we don't have gorillas in the Northwoods.
Right.
Yeah, well, exactly. But my question to both of you guys, I've taken thousands of reports over the years. What's the average thing people notice first when they encounter a Bigfoot? Is it the smell, or what is that thing? That's the most usual thing that people encounter.
Actually, it's just usually a brief, quick sighting that's 2 seconds or less. Is the typical sighting. Crossing roads, brief
footsteps, paralleling them on a trail.
Right.
Trees getting pushed over. They'll get a rock thrown at them. They'll smell. Some people smell something.
Yeah,
I was going to say, because the scent too has been. We've talked to people before on the radio shows, and they've said, "Well, I smelled this before I ever saw anything." Yeah. And I wasn't sure if that was a real common occurrence.
I think, Doug, you may be able to confirm this, but if you listen to people describe the smell, I've heard it described like 60 or 70 different ways.
Yeah.
It's never exactly the same.
Yeah.
It smelled like a wet dog. It smelled like garbage. Even some sweet smells, it smelled like cinnamon.
Rotten meat seems to be a fairly common one.
Musky urine.
Sulfur, burnt tires,
right.
Rotten meat. The combination of all of them.
It's so. And the other interesting thing is that, and say out of 100 cases, maybe only 30 of them are going to include them witnessing a smell of some sort. So it's only like a 30% scenario of a Sasquatch encounter.
Well, is that where... excuse me, gentlemen, but this goes to both of you really quickly.
Yeah.
Is that where the skunk ape thing came from?
Sure.
Was the smell?
Yeah.
Okay. Making sure it wasn't the looks, but it was actually the smell. Gotcha.
No, but George Schaller first described gorillas, producing the same stink, which is done, glandular. It's not like it isn't because they're dirty. It's because they're producing the stink and they're releasing it. So they have neural control. And George described it as burnt rubber, sulfur, and rotten meat, as I remember. Similar, which is interesting.
Wow. So it's kind of wrapped all in one. Yeah, that's an interesting combination. Yep. And I would imagine that's all to keep predators at bay, right, guys? I mean, that scent has to play some type of part in the whole thing.
Intimidation, communication. Who knows?
Or reaction, maybe. What we don't know is if the pheromones of a Bigfoot will be responded to by human senses. In other words, usually pheromones are species specific. So it's been speculated that these are pheromones that we're reacting to, and that we're creating the sense of smell through the pheromone release.
We collected a peanut butter jar that's got the same stink on it from, somebody who was feeding these things. And I was up there and we let a dog.
Whatever you're funny, Peacock's got it exclusively. Bears beats The Office on Peacock. Stream every moment from Dunder Mifflin and explore bonus extras and exclusives. Plus, if you're looking for more classic hits, you can stream every episode of Parks and Recreation, 2.5 Men, and every season of SNL. In the mood for something brand new? Check out Peacock's original comedies, The Amber Ruffin Show, and Saved by the Bell. Whether you're craving a new binge or familiar fave, you can find tons of comedy hits on Peacock. Get started for free at peacocktv.com.
I take a whiff of this peanut butter jar, and the dog instantly ran.
Wasn't your friend anymore. The dog was not your friend anymore.
You could tell the dog did not like it. I mean, he just took off.
Interesting. And I got to ask you, David and Doug, this is a new term. I shouldn't, I'm going to show how inexperienced I truly am in the field here. What's this thing I've been hearing the last couple of years called samurai chatter? Is that their language? Someone was trying to explain to me what samurai chatter is and tried to recreate it. And it got me no closer to what the hell this is by their trying to recreate it. Is that just what they're doing? Are they talking? What is that?
Well, samurai chatter is a reference to Ron Moorhead's audio recordings, the Sierra sounds. And I believe it was Matt Moneymaker who coined the term after hearing some of the recordings, saying those sound like samurai talking back and forth. Ron's audio recordings have been analyzed by quite a few different research scientists, and the most current specialist to look at them is Scott Nelson, and his findings are that they are speaking in at maybe 2 to 3 times the speed at which we normally talk, and that they're talking over one another and communicating back and forth. And some of the intonations of the sounds have kind of a samurai flavor to them. Now, some of the recordings that I have captured in the field have some chatter, but they're not exactly like Ron's. Mm-hmm. I have one situation where it was very close to what Ron had recorded, and I sent a copy to him, and I looped his vocalization that he recorded so he could compare what I recorded to what he recorded. And when I sent it to him, he didn't quite understand that there was some of his and some of mine tied together. And he said, "What are you sending me all of my stuff for?" And I said, "No, Ron, the first part of that is what I recorded at this particular location. And I thought it sounded an awful lot like this." And he says, "Oh my God, it did." So
interesting.
Yeah. So I have recorded one scenario where it is very, and I shouldn't say I was working with a witness that actually recorded it herself. And I found it while I was analyzing her audio.
That is cool, though. That is very cool that they're speaking that way and that fast. I did have the honor of meeting both Mr. Moorhead and Mr. Nelson at an event in August that was held in Grand Rapids. So that was quite interesting to talk with both of them gentlemen.
Oh my word! Yeah,
nice guys, very nice people.
Yep,
and very knowledgeable as well.
Yeah, cutting edge stuff. So I've got a specific sound that I've been kind of tracking that I stumbled across accidentally. I tied a couple of things together. You've heard of Daniel Boone, and he shot a Yahoo. Have you heard of that story before, Doug?
Yes.
Yep. I have not.
Okay, well, Daniel Boone, legend lore, has stated that at some point he had shot a, air quotes, Yahoo. And a Yahoo is known in the Appalachia region as what we call a Bigfoot. So I wondered if there was more information regarding that scenario or that legend. And I was on the internet doing some searches, and up pops a YouTube video called Wahoo, the Baboon Bark. And I thought to myself, no, this can't be. And I popped up the video, and I played it, and I went, oh my God, I've recorded that. And
really?
Not only recorded that, but I recorded it all, or had recordings sent to me from all over the country to analyze. And I have found this particular sound within those recordings that people were sending me. So this is another sound that I'm pretty sure people aren't tracking, but probably should be. If you want to play clip number 1, that is a audio recording of the YouTube video, and you'll hear the actual baboon making this what's called as the Wahoo baboon bark.
All right, let's see if we have luck with that one. And no dice on that one as well. What I will do, though, is I will go directly to the email that you sent it in and play it that way. That way it comes over air. And we'll circumvent the deck that for now by just playing it directly, and that's something we will be able to do. So it is very interesting that you caught all this, and let me find that. And that was number 1, you said. So we're going to find that quickly. And I do apologize for hold up anyone that's listening to this show. Sometimes this technology, as great as it is, sometimes it likes to fight us a little bit. But here we go. Let's play the audio clip right now. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so now if you can find clip number 2, which should be the next one after that in your email. Yep.
Let's play that one here. Wow. Is that like a guar? I mean, That that number one, that would be scary as hell to hear in the woods in the middle of the night. I just got to say that right now.
Well, number one is a real baboon. And number two is a baboon that lives in the Pacific Northwest, I guess.
Well, we don't have baboons in the Pacific Northwest.
No, we don't, do we? I'm sorry, my mistake.
Wow. That is strange.
Okay, now clip number 3 is the baboon bark and what I recorded in I found in a recording sent to me in the Pacific Northwest, back to back. So you'll hear the baboon bark and then you'll hear what we just played. So gotcha. I've got that looped, I think, 5 times.
Wow. So you're recording all this. You're getting this, and what's your process? You magnifying this, or is this just how you recorded it right there?
Okay, good question. No, it has been edited for sound. I keep originals, but I do edit because sometimes your audio recording is not as loud as it needs to be, and people can't appreciate it. I have the ability to edit in a spectrogram. So I know exactly where the sounds reside, and I'm able to increase those sounds and decrease the ambient sounds that inhibit us or inhibit our ability to hear it a little bit better. So,
okay,
yes.
Gotcha. See, you're magnifying what we're hearing using your software. No, what I was going to say is that was another example of something that shouldn't be here.
Right.
I mean, by all rights, unless a zoo let a baboon out or something.
Exactly. I can guarantee where it was recorded, there's no chance.
No.
I've got one more sample in this particular category that might be of interest.
Sure.
It's a little bit kind of gruffish, if you will, but it's clip number 8, so it should be like the 4th one in that email chain.
Gotcha. Yep. Here we go. We're gonna play that right now. What are we hearing there in the distance? That is, again, something that shouldn't be, but I mean, it sounds very much monkey-ish to me.
Exactly. It does not sound like a canid or a wolf or a coyote or a dog, or frankly, even a person. So, the suspects start getting eliminated, and what's left? So,
we don't have a whole lot of suspects left other than what we're hearing, and we're hearing what seems to be a primate in the Pacific Northwest that is making itself known on your recorder.
David, you had mentioned double seem to way of producing a very high sound at the same time producing a very low sound.
Yeah, that was what I experienced when I was little, and you're hearing some of that tone even in some of the recordings, maybe not just yet through what we've played, but one of the things that I have kind of picked up on is that specific capability is that it's like there's 2 tones happening at the same time.
Could that be done by like a double set of vocal cords or
boy. Now you're into biology that I would be stepping out of my realm of ability to comment.
I'm out of my league. I'm just
but if you're asking me, do I suppose that's possible? Yes.
No, some humans can do it. Some singers have
those questions that drive you.
Well, one of the things that's interesting, we'll hopefully get to a whistle here a little bit later, but it's been speculated that the whistle doesn't actually being forced air through pursed lips, but actually coming from the vocal cord. So, a high-pitched screech that has the tone of a whistle. So it may not be whistling at all. It may be, their ability to resonate at a very, very high pitch. Now, when I was very little, I used to mimic whistles by doing that because I had a very high set of vocals. So I could scream in a whistle type fashion when I was 7 or 8 years old.
Sure. That is, it's very hard to have our vocal cords. Well, human beings aren't really known to be able to do stuff like that, other than some singers. They've used examples. Freddie Mercury was one. The singer Queen that allegedly could do 2 different sounds as vocal cords at one time. But outside him and maybe a couple of opera singers, it's really not something that the average individual could do.
Isn't there some Tibetan monks that do that? That have a very low tone and a higher tone.
Yeah, that may be as well.
They call it.
I think there's
throat singing.
Yeah.
Throat singing.
Yeah. So we're not speaking out of the realm of possibilities.
But I highly doubt there's someone running around with that ability. Right where you are, where you're recording.
Yeah.
What are those odds?
Slim and none, because it's being recorded across the country, so it's not a one-off.
Yeah. So what do you gather from all this? I mean,
Well, I gathered that to me, you take this information, you log it, you show it to folks like yourselves. Hopefully some scientists will come along and maybe catch the show and go, I can help these guys. Because I have the expertise to take it to the next level. I just consider myself a gatherer of information. I can't draw conclusions. That's for the scientists. That's for the science folks to take it to the next level. But I do believe I'm gathering enough information that people should honestly take a look at it that have the credentials to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
What about some of the clicks and pops, or even, I've heard people say, well, the wood knocks are not really wood knocks. They're coming from their throat, or they're clicking their tongue somehow to create a wood knock sound. Have you found anything, or do you have any recordings?
Yes. If Joel, if we could go to the second email set.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What number am I clicking?
If you could find, I believe it's going to be the first one, no, wait a minute. I'm sorry. It won't be. It'll be number 45, Tilda the orangutan.
Okay. Here, I can play that quickly here.
New research suggests a female orangutan that calls a German zoo home is believed to communicate with her keepers in human-like manner. Named Tilda, she doesn't rely solely on her natural sounds to attract a person's attention, but instead she often mimics what are thought to be human vocalizations. Tilda appears to show speech-like patterns by both controlling her lips and tongue, as well as manipulating her vocal folds. In order for her to produce the consonant-like noises, the orangutan clicks her tongue, which in turn creates varying tones. This vocal action is similar to how humans pronounce consonants, such as B. In another one of her calls, she produces grumbles in a way that is comparable to how we make vowel sounds. According to the study, Tilda only makes these sounds during feeding time when zookeepers are with her, and often adds gestures, such as pointing to the food. Researchers use both audio and video recordings to study her communication methods. The lead author of the paper that is now published in PLOS ONE told Discovery News, "It is our belief that Tilda learned to produce these calls from humans while she was in the entertainment
business." So Tilda,
business.
the monkey or the ape,
orangutan,
is making those odd, strange noises to her keepers.
Correct. She's
and
making...
so these are the same noises, many of them that you're picking, like the clicks and pops. Those are many of the same patterns that we've been hearing tonight. You hear from a monkey like Tilda or a orangutan like Tilda.
Right. When I saw this particular video, I went, oh my God, I've been recording this stuff in the field. I mean, another one of those aha moments that you can trace back to real primates making real sounds that we can associate with primate behavior. So we're kind of, making some associations of, what we're recording in the field to what is really made by a primate. So this particular voice pattern really caught my attention because not only were there clicks and pops, but there were huffs and grunts, and they were associating those huffs and grunts with vowels and consonants. So you caught the part where the handlers picked up on the fact that she may be trying to mimic speech. So if those patterns exist in a primate and we're recording them in the field, then we need to, take a real close look at that. So the first time I heard it in one of my recordings, as I was analyzing it visually, is clip number 46. And I recorded this right after somebody watched a Sasquatch walk between two trees.
Interesting. Here we go. We're going to play that right now for you. Clip number 46. Here we go. Okay, David, what the hell is that?
Well, when I first recorded it back in 2007, before I was actually analyzing it visually, I thought I was recorded something that was, taking sticks and hammering on logs and making huffing and grunting sounds. But it wasn't until I looked at it visually that I went, oh my God, I had an aha moment. That's being done vocally. That's not being done with, a stick. There's too many intonation variations in a very short period of time for it to really be done by sticks. That's being done by a mouth and a tongue and vocal cords. So that was my aha moment. And then having something coming across a YouTube video of Tilda, the orangutan in Germany, it was one of those, oh my word, this is kind of coming together. I have another one, clip number 51, and you'll hear percussive sounds, but at the very end, you will hear a vocalization that will make you question what the heck is going on.
Here, we'll play it right now. That's incredible.
Yeah, that scream at the end, tying it together with the percussive sounds. So it really does tie in together as far as my picture that I'm painting. For me,
again, you're looking at all this through the spectrograph when you're seeing this. So you're seeing. Now, when you're listening, where is this registering on the hertz levels? Are we below hearing? Are we above where we can hear? Where are we at on that?
No, we are below the typical canid response. Dogs and coyotes. Coyotes will harmonize at a higher hertz level. Dogs can get in this range, but not typically. So there's kind of a very small range between, say, 600 hertz and 750 hertz that really fall into the suspicious category for me.
Gotcha.
Excuse me.
Gotcha.
Excuse me.
So I don't even know where to go with this. I mean, it's just so strange, the vocal patterns and what I'm hearing, and go ahead, explain.
Well, I was just going to say we should probably end the evening on something that people are probably most familiar with associating Sasquatch vocalizations, and that's the long vocalization. So it looks to me like we got about 10 minutes left, and I don't know.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes left of the program.
So I think
some of those are amazing, David.
Let's in email number 3, if you can find clip number 82.
Before you play that, Joel, I was going to mention that so much of primate behavior was reported by the Native Americans in all North America before they were ever reported by primatologists.
See now, if you're catching these, David, they have to be too.
Right.
I mean, you're not the only one out there with a recorder.
Right.
You see where I'm going to this? Well, no, if they're, what I'm saying is scientists, people in the know. I mean, it makes you wonder after all this evidence hits them, or you're shipping this to them, that they don't at least go out there with a recorder and try to see it for themselves.
Well, that's the $1 million question. How do we get them interested? So
there was a bioacoustician, from Texas, who had sent out on an expedition, and not only did he hear screams that he couldn't identify, but he had a rock thrown at him.
Bears don't throw rocks. Bears don't throw rocks.
But there's what happens when a scientist finally takes a little bit of interest.
Right.
Yeah. Gets out of the lab and actually goes into the field and gets a taste of what's going on out there. Now, we have 82 all queued up, so I will play that whenever you are ready for me to do that, David.
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, here we go. Let's do this thing. That would make your blood run cold.
Yeah. The reason it's loud and clear is I had a bionic dish and miraculously pointed in the right direction. Yeah. It's just one of those times, one of those things.
I'm going to ask you a total stupid question, though.
Yeah.
When you're hearing this, and you're hearing this real time, like with your bionic dish, are you ever afraid?
Did it
ever frighten you?
I can't say that I haven't been kind of a little bit spooky, but I've grown out of it. I'm not afraid. Maybe I should be. Maybe I should be, but no.
Yeah. No, I hear you, because I've been out there in the field with my group. I belong to a Bigfoot research team, and And I've been out there in the middle of the night questioning my own sanity a couple times because, you know, I was a skeptic.
Right. Well, I have walked into the woods without a light and got, you know, 50 or 60 feet into the woods and thinking, what am I doing? That could be a cougar. That could be a bear. So, you know, but I was going toward it instead of away from it. You know, you always hear, why aren't they going toward it? So let's play clip number 78.
All right. Let me get that queued up here in the old system here. Here we go. Clip number 78 coming at you right now. Where were you when you recorded that one, David?
Actually, that was a recording that was sent to me. And the cool thing about it was it was recorded over a cell phone. And I was able to enhance it to the point where it became quite phenomenal, I think, in my opinion, as far as hearing the detail that you want to be able to hear. Now, that was not looped. Those were 4 individual vocalizations
of the same
animal, I think so.
I guess
I think so.
Better.
I think so because they were all the same intensity. So if it were a different intensity, then I would speculate that there was possibly two of them.
So they both have the same voice signature, is what
right?
you're saying. Yeah.
And so we can close it out with number 81. You will hear a howl, and you also hear a wood knock, which I think is significant when you have 2 of the suspicious sounds together. It just increases the chances that, you know, you were hearing something very, very suspicious.
Here we go. I'll play that for us. I heard that loud and clear.
Yeah.
Especially the wood knock going on there at the end, but the howl as well. You know, the wood knock must be the great calling card of the woods.
Well,
because it would seem a lot of people get responses with wood knocking.
Yeah, if I get the opportunity to come back, we'll kind of delve into that maybe a little bit more. But as I've speculated with Doug, I don't think they're necessarily always using wood on wood to make those sounds. I think that some of those are gigantic mouth pops and tongue clicks.
Is there a way to tell wood on wood? A mouth pop and a spectrogram?
Well, yes. And to be honest with you, I have not done that, but yes, you would be able to do that by recreating wood knocks and recording those, so that you have a library of wood knocks that you have personally made, right, and you can compare them to that.
Well, I kind of tend to lean towards your theory, David, because we've had wood knocks answered too quick.
Right, they're not holding. Yeah,
they didn't like find the right tree and the right.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah.
Right.
Not carrying around a club with them is what you're saying.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I had one witness that listened to something wood knock the same identical sound as he heard something running through the woods. So it couldn't be hitting the same tree, making the identical sound.
Yeah. And when I first heard that theory, it kind of made sense, because I was so puzzled by numerous times where you do a wood knock and you get an answer instantly.
Yeah. Well, like, go back to Tilda and listen to her do her tongue clicks and tongue.
Isn't there a tribe in Africa that speaks with clicks and pops and sounds like wood knocks?
Yes, I don't quote me because I don't remember the name of the tribe, but I do know that is true.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, David.
That is.
He's just beginning this new science.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. I mean, for the future.
It truly is. We've learned a couple things tonight. Number one, there's a primate running around the Pacific Northwest that nobody seems to want to interact with, or at least that he doesn't want to come around us.
No.
And number two, science is blind to it or knows about it and doesn't want to talk about it. That's a whole nother show on its own.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But, we also have people like you out there that's pushing the envelope of research.
Yes.
Inching us closer and closer to an answer. And that's what we all want, is that better answer. And you, sir, are guiding us into that direction.
Well,
I find these completely fascinating, and I want to load all this stuff in to my own equipment after the show and take a look at it with some of my forensic equipment.
Perfect.
And see what that bears out.
More scrutiny, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just out of curiosity. But David, thank you so much for coming on the show. I mean,
it's
David
been a
Ellis,
pleasure.
everybody, and
Thank
you
you,
want to
David.
go and
Thanks, Doug.
take a look at his website, of course. While we're here, you got to go to the olympicproject.com. But we also need you to go to untoldradio.am.com, untoldradio.am.com, to listen to all of our shows. And this will be up on the website momentarily, this show as well. So you can hear all of our past stuff. And we also have our future guests listed there. We also have some really cool content you're going to want to check out. Until next time, guys, take care of each other, love each other, and get out in the field. Get some of your own sounds. We'd love to hear them. After Hours AM is a production of Midwest Radio Productions. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And please visit www.americas-most-haunted.com.
Streaming only on Peacock.
John Wayne Gacy killed 32.
Straight from the killer's mouth.
They want you to believe that I alone committed these murders.
The new gripping 6-part documentary series, John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise. All episodes streaming now, only on Peacock.
To show you how easy it is to file a claim with Geico, we hired fitness celebrity Billy Blanks.
Okay, everybody, our car just got a broken windshield. How about we blow off some steam? Now punch, now kick.
Mr. Blanks, there's no need to be stressed. Geico makes it easy to file a claim online, on the app, or over the phone.
Yeah, but what if I never hear back? That's going to make me want to go jab and jab.
Nope. Your Geico claims team is always there for you.
Okay, do I still get my post-workout protein shake?
Sure, Billy. Geico, great service without all the drama.